Okay, welcome to section 2.5. We're here at the top of page 1, and section 5 is called an introduction to problem solving. So I feel like we've already had an introduction to problem solving in the translating that we worked on all through chapter 1. In the problem solving here, we are now going to take those translations and solve them, find the number, find the answer to the question. So page 158 in the book has this cute little Peanuts cartoon about Peppermint Patty trying to read and solve a word problem, and her reaction to it is to cry out abandon ship. So we're going to attempt to come at this from a better way, see if we can calmly get to the answer and build our confidence in story problems. I don't know any better way to get better at story problems than to just do a bunch of them over and over and over again. Your brain will start to adapt. It will start to get better at these. You have to get rid of the vocabulary. I can't do this. I've never been good at it. Just tell yourself you can do this. Take this one step at a time. And we start with some basic translations. Here at number 8, I'm going to adjust the camera so we can see the steps. We've talked about these steps already through chapter 1. Now they're going to be here in written form, and then we're going to practice a couple together. So, pardon me as I adjust the camera. Okay, let's read number 8 together. And that is the first step. Read it. If you're in a position where you can read it out loud, obviously this won't come in handy for a test, but you can kind of hear your voice read this to you in your head when you get that skill. So let's read it. The quotient of a number and 14 is 8. Find the number. After you've read it once through, all I want you to do, especially for those of us that it causes you to panic just a little bit when you see a word problem, I want you to take a deep breath. In and out, get some oxygen, get those neurons kind of popping, calm yourself down a little bit, and then read it a second time. It should be hopefully a little bit clearer the second time. Things are going to start to pop out to you. It won't sound so much like a foreign language. The quotient of a number and 14 is 8. Find the number. So after the second time of reading then, we want to identify what the goal is. And in this case, it says to find the number. So we're going to find a number, and we can choose to call that X. We can choose to call it in. Let's do that. We haven't done that for a while. We're going to call it in, and it's your choice on the variable. Okay, so bring some of you to this. Bring some of your own personality. Pick letters, you know, your favorite letter, your initial, your significant other's initial. I mean, something that just kind of brings a little bit of you, a little bit of fun to the problem. Okay. The next thing is we're going to highlight keywords and info. For those of you that need the practice, need to get better at this skill, don't try to jump right into translations. Take it into the, don't try to jump from the sentence to the actual equation. Give yourself a little bit of steps in between. So what I like to do is highlight the keywords and info. So quotient, that's an important word. That means division, and it also means that the first thing that is mentioned, so it's going to be the first item mentioned over or divided by. So quotient means division. The second item mentioned. Okay, so that's some information I'm bringing to the table here. And then it says the quotient of a number and 14 is 8. Is going to be our equal sign. Okay, that's important to recognize. That pops out. And then I also see the number in there, the word number. So that's where our variable is going to be, is that number. And then let's figure out what we're putting in our quotient here. And here's an example. You don't have to do it this way, but again, if you're looking for ways to get better, you can kind of partially translate. So we know the quotient is 8. So the quotient is 8. And now we can figure out what that quotient is. And we've been talking about this in chapter 1. As soon as you see that word of, quotient of, sum of, difference of, look for that and, because then that is going to be your markers for your first item and your second item. Okay, so this is going to be the first item mentioned. The number is going to go on top of the fraction. Fraction, same as division. And then the second item mentioned, the 14, is going to go on the bottom. So now I can replace the quotient with my number in, it's a quotient of a number and 14, and that equals 8. Okay, so quotient of a number and 14 is 8. And once I highlighted some key words and info, I started to change the words to symbols and numbers. So quotient became a division. I used the of and to kind of highlight my top and bottom. I reminded myself what quotient was until you get really good and confident, especially during the practice problems, during the notes. Write these type of things out for yourself. Quotient is first over second. As you write it, say it. You'll be hearing it, seeing it, writing it, saying it. You're putting it into your brain 4 times as fast as just trying to use it and keep it in your head. It'll be ready and waiting for you when you get to the test. There'll be no question because you've rehearsed it so many times. And by rehearsal, in this case, I mean write it out. Write out what you're doing in words. It works really well for some people. So if you haven't tried that yet, you're looking for a way to get better at word problems, get rid of the stress, then that's the way to do it. Okay, so what we've done is the translating, and we just want to make sure that the order makes sense here. So we just kind of read it again. The quotient, division of a number and 14 is 8. So before I do the solving, I just do kind of a check for myself. And then we get to solve and do a look back. So this is where we're going to take our skills from 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 of solving this equation. I'm not going to go through all those steps at this point. I'm going to trust that you've developed a method that works for you. We're checking to see if there's parentheses. We're checking for like terms on either side of the equal sign. We're making sure the variable has picked a side. It has on the left. We ask what's happening to that variable. It's being divided by 14. That's the only thing that's happening to it. So I'm going to reverse that with an opposite operation. So I multiply both sides by 14, and I get a value of n is equal to 80 times 10 is 80. 8 times 4 is 32. 80 and 32 is 112. So our number is 112. And then you'll probably see it in set notation in the back of the book. That means we're just setting aside our number as the answer. And of course I want you to use the back of the book to check your answers on the practice sets. That's why I assign the odds, so that you can build your confidence when you're working at home or wherever you do your homework. You can build your confidence and know that you're doing the right thing, and then try to find your errors when you do make a mistake. Okay, so that's number 8. We'll go to the next video and do number 4, and also there's a try problem.